Hello and welcome to Pastor's Library. My name is Stephen Redman and I'm here today to talk to you on the channel that discusses theology books, books that might appear on your bookshelf as a pastor, as a minister, as a student of theology, someone doing a bachelor's or a master's degree, or just someone studying for the sake of studying. Let me suggest to you that we're just here to offer advice and to offer an overview of some things. And if you like what we have to say, please give us a thumbs up on YouTube, click on subscribe and click the bell, and then you'll be amongst the first to know that a new edition of Pastor's Library has been released. So today I want to talk to you about an author, British author, who has been a huge theological voice in the 20th and 21st centuries. This man was part of the New Church movement in the 80s, and he established a network of churches in London and beyond, in fact, that stretched across the world. And Ichthus is the denomination, the group that he set up, the network. Not everyone would like me to call it a denomination, but in simple terms, that's what it is. And Roger Forster is his name. Roger and his wife Faith are synonymous. They work together. They both have made significant inroads into the life of churches and the teaching of Christians. And they are a tremendous couple who are still ministering today, and we thank God for them. Some of Roger Forster's writings have been with his writing partner Paul Marston, and occasionally they've been with his wife Faith. But all of these works are quite remarkable and are a real legacy, I would suggest, for pastors and for anyone in the church that just wants to engage a little bit more with what God is doing. And of all the new church denominations, of which there are so many that emerged from the 80s onwards, Ichthus have always been known as the ones with a theological bent. And that's because Roger Forster has such a keen theological mind. And he has been friends to key commentators and key people in the world of theology, people like F.F. Bruce, people like I. Howard Marshall, people like Gregory Boyd, pretty much on the cutting edge of a newer wave of theology. Roger describes himself as a free will theist, but he is very relational in his theology, and he has a lot to offer. So my first encounter with Roger was with this book, God's Strategy in Human History. F.F. Bruce actually wrote the foreword to this. And this was published in 1973. I think I discovered it in 1978 or 79. So it was a few years old when I came across it. And this book has undergone a lot of revision through time. So it is now 2 books. It comes in volumes 1 and volume 2. God's Strategy in Human History. And it is quite a remarkable feat. Basically, volume 1 talks you through the key doctrinal points, and volume 2 takes you into the in-depth side and a little bit into the background of that theology. And these books, I cannot speak too highly of them. What's also quite remarkable is Roger has always had a view that books should be affordable. And you can get the 2 of these together for less than £20. It's absolutely remarkable for the quality of the theology that's gone into them. So you will find footnotes, you will find bibliographies, you will find all the things that you need to make these quotable. And can I suggest to you, they are very quotable. And Roger's long life and long ministry has given rise to these as a recent revision, so that these were published in 2013. so that these are quite up to date. So that's God's strategy in human history. If you have to take one book with you from this, please take that 2 volumes. Is really excellent. Also, in his more recent writings, he's written a book on reward theology called Gold, Silver and Precious Stones, which when I read this, I said to him, this reads to me like something I would have read 50 years ago. And he said, yes. He said, I wrote it because I feel the church has walked away from talking about eternal reward. And so this is very good, very up to date, easy to read, easy to digest, very accessible, but an excellent book. Another book that he's written that is really excellent is something called Paul's Gospel. Now, this is about some issues that Paul raises in Romans and Galatians. And so effectively, this is a commentary on those 2 books in 1 volume. And it really is absolutely excellent. It comes with discussion points. It comes with topics for thought after the end of the group. You can deal with this in groups as well. And it's really well laid out. It's got colour. It's got really excellent points made in it. It's a very, very good volume. And again, this would be the cheapest commentary on Romans that you've ever bought. And there's also Galatians inside as well. There are lots of really good volumes that Roger has written. And over the years, he has revised a lot of them, particularly in the last decade. And amongst those, there is a volume on the Trinity, which is very good reading, very refreshing to read such orthodox Christian doctrine. There is a really excellent book on the Kingdom of Jesus. This is a really good read. And that's not a very hefty book. It's only about 110 pages, but it's very, very good indeed. There's a book on prayer that I can recommend. And I think this is probably up for renewal, but fasting is probably the most excellent booklet that I've ever read on the subject. And I thoroughly commend that to you. There are a number of other books he's written. I mean, I've got a shelf full of Roger Forster in my library, but there are 2 others which really demand that you consider them. This one is Women and the Kingdom. And I know that the church has struggled with the issue of women in ministry, and particularly the Anglicans and the Catholics. The Pentecostals, the new churches in general haven't really struggled. But Roger puts a biblical viewpoint on what the Bible is really saying. And he writes this, of course, with faith, which I think is important that he writes it with his wife. And it's very, very, very good. I have got some brilliant books on women in the ministry. I could drop a number of names to you. This is the best. And I suppose really the final one I want to rave to you about. This book really engaged me. I couldn't put it down. When I read it again. This book is excellent. It helped me so much with my master's dissertation. This is Suffering and the Love of God. And it's really a commentary on the book of Job, in effect. But it's more thematic it's about suffering and the love of God than it is about Job in that sense. But it's all based out of Job. And if you're doing a study on Job, or you want to know a little bit more about theodicy or the issue of suffering and God, this is an essential read. I cannot rave about it too much. This is a brilliant book. And I have to just say to you that Roger Forster leaves us with a huge legacy. He has got lots and lots of MP3s that you can access and listen to him speaking, dealing with the book of Ezekiel, which he deals with marvelously. Lots of other great verse-by-verse exegesis. But his books are brilliant, and let me recommend those to you. Don't forget God's Strategy in Human History, 3rd edition, volumes 1 and 2. It is absolutely brilliant. I hope that's helped you today. If it has, please click us thumbs up. Make sure you've subscribed and have clicked on the bell so that you know when we next publish an episode of Pastor's Library. God bless you. See you again soon.